what is the soul lesson being essayed as a child? I recently did a journal prompt, and this journal prompt asked that question of just pick one challenge or one thing you've been through that, and figure out what the soul lesson is. What was the soul lesson? And I literally never, this is one aspect of the things that I've been through that I have never really worked through in that regard of like challenging myself to see the higher perspective. And I think therapeutically we're taught, and it's never really looked deeper into in the therapeutic world even, or like psychologically, or we say, it's just bad, should have never happened. We blame everybody, which still holds weight, absolutely. But on a soul level and on a spiritual level, what is the higher perspective if God knows all, if God sees all, and if our soul does choose the path we travel, does choose our parents, does know ahead of time what harm will come our way, because especially if it happens multiple times, And I think a huge part of this experience is being able to pull ourselves out of our emotions. And, when it comes to essay, it's really hard to do that. It's really hard to not blame. It's really hard to release that aspect of it because it is preventable. And especially when people, know they didn't do anything, or know that they didn't get you justice, or they didn't protect you. And, it's just that, it's like a whole different ball game of like emotions. So like I challenged myself to really look into this, and I heard very softly as I asked myself that question, what is the soul lesson I am meant to learn from being essayed as a child? And I heard, it's not something to think, it's something to remember. And I was like, okay. So I let it go. And a few moments later, I promise you, it like swooped in. And I just had this like overwhelming emotion of like, dark things like this happen so that the people it happens to can speak on it. Like, speak on it, raise awareness, speak on your experience and share it, because we still don't know how to heal this. I'm 31 years old and it still lives through me, through hypersexuality, through thinking sex is the only way for people to want me, to like me, to choose me. I go through phases of like, that's the only way that I feel I'm desired. And, feeling like I can't say no sometimes. I've struggled with that as well. And just a whole bunch of other things just that comes along with being essayed. And I just realized, this brought me to my awareness that people really don't talk about this a lot. Hence why my voice is just like shaking, because this is really something I don't speak on and haven't spoken on a lot. But it's just like, it needs to be talked about, because if these dark things don't get talked about, they stay in the dark. People don't get held accountable. People don't get justice. So no, I didn't get justice where the person who essayed me didn't go to jail. In fact, was still allowed around me. But I can speak up on it. I can share it. I can share my experience. I can share what I've learned and how I've healed certain aspects of the manifestation of what that does to somebody in the body. Like, I promise you, like, what that did to me it was so subconscious. I think because I was so young, I was 5 years old, you know, and I don't know how often, how much, but I do remember when I was 5. But I was around this person even before that, so who knows. But moral of the story is, like, you know, it lives in your body. It's stored in your body. And it lives out in subconscious ways. And for me, it absolutely has. And I can't even correlate what exactly is tied to that. You know what I mean? So, like, I'm sure a lot of you can relate. And so how do we heal it? And, you know, therapy is one thing. Feeling when it does arise, when the things that arise that come from that experience, you know, the victimhood that comes along with that, crying and grieving what was taken from us from a young age, you know, like the lack of trust in people, the lack of boundaries we develop, and just not being able to, like, fully love people or fully open up to people because we feel we're going to constantly be taken advantage of, you know, those type of things. Like, there are things that I've definitely correlated, but I do feel like there's no other soul lesson I can pinpoint other than it's just meant to be shared so that it's heard, so that people can feel seen, so that people can, the more people that speak up about their SA experience and share, like, I've also been SA'd and also didn't get justice, and also, you know, it was swept under the rug, you know, it's like the more that happens, the more people can feel a sense of community on it, because it just lies in the dark and people struggle in silence. And that's what I've come to. I would love to know what some of you have maybe come to when it comes to this type of thing in your own journey of, like, healing from this. But, like, I just really am tired of living in the dark with certain things. I'm tired of keeping things quiet just because others have, and others want to be comfortable that way. Like, I'm tired of it. I want to talk about the things that people don't talk about. I want to bring up the things and share the truths of, you know, what lies underneath the surface and what people are too scared, too uncomfortable to talk about. It's like this shit gotta change. Like, the amount of people that are out here that are SAing people or that are being SA'd, like the children, like, that are being SA'd, like, under the radar, and even family members know and don't do anything about it. Like, this, it gotta stop. So the more awareness we bring to it, the more we talk about it, the more that this can be confronted, the more that a light shines on it and makes people uncomfortable, which is what we got to do, is make people uncomfortable when it comes to this type of thing, because it's, like, almost accepted in the dark because it makes people uncomfortable. But I just wanted to share that. I'm healing. I am not healed. I am healing. I will always be healing. But this is one experience that I just really navigated the deeper aspect, taking my emotions out of it and trying to look at it from God's perspective, the Creator's perspective of, like, why this happened. And that's what I came up with. That's what I got. And it's not that I came up with it. I remembered that that's a part of my what is meant to be shared. I could do that, or I cannot. I can keep it to myself. I cannot share it. I cannot expose it. But who I'm becoming, that's just not what I do anymore. So please leave comments. Let me know your guys' own journey. Like, I want this to be a safe space, and I want you to feel seen and heard and know that, like, I'm here for you. And I see you and I hear you, even if nobody else stood up for you, protected you, heard you, believed you, like I do.